In this video, we're going to go over how to use the Yeti mobile app. At the beginning of this video, we'll go step by step through app use from the start of a shift until the end of the shift. But if you stick around until the end, we'll go over all of the information included on the rest of the tabs, as well as the account settings. To begin using the Yeti mobile app, you'll first hit Start Shift in the top left corner of the screen. At this point, you can either choose a piece of equipment that you're using. In this case, I'm going to choose Plow Truck 12. And if I'm using a crew, I can also select a crew here. So I'll click on my name, and then below, choose the other crew members that are with me, and hit Update Crew Members at the bottom of the screen. Next, I'll hit the Next button at the bottom of the screen. And if I need to adjust my crew at any point, I can always click on the Crew Shift button at the top right of the screen. So if at any point I need to remove a crew member, I can deselect them and hit Update Crew Members. I can also add another crew member on to my crew. You'll notice I also have a View Other Crews button down below. If at any point I need to see what other crews on my team are doing, I can click this button. At this point, there's no one else logged in. However, if I do click that button, I'll be able to see who else is working right now and what they're doing. Next, I'll choose my route. In this case, I'm going to select Demo Route number 10. At that point, I'll be able to see all of the sites on this route. And in this case, I'm going to choose the City Hall, which happens to be the first site on this route. And you'll notice again, there is a button to click to see other crews that are servicing this route, which I can do to see who is doing what. But I'm going to select the City Hall. After I've selected a site, I can then see my site notes at the top of the screen, and down below, if I need to, I can also select my site images to see what I need to do during service on any particular site. If I do not know how to get to a site, I can click here for turn-by-turn directions on the address line. Once I've decided I'm going to go ahead and start my site, I will hit Start Site down at the bottom. At that point, I'll need to select a weather condition, a ground condition. The air temp will populate automatically, and I can add a snow depth. It's important to note at this point that these weather and ground conditions will follow me through my route. I do not have to complete this information at every single site. However, if I need to, I can adjust it on any site. Next, I will take a before photo. I will take an after photo. And down below, I will select my services by clicking Site Services. Now you'll notice if I'm using crew members, I can either just select the services that everyone's completing all at once by selecting services here, or if I go back, I can select services by crew member. And if I select this by crew member option, I'll be able to choose which service each crew member has completed. I'm going to deselect that in this case and just go to Site Services, where I will choose anti-icing and de-icing and plow lot. Then hit done. For anti-icing and de-icing, you'll notice it says consumable required, which means I'm going to have to select a consumable. So I'll click my consumables tab here. And in this case, I'm going to select bulk salt per ton. And we're going to say I used 1.5 tons of salt on this site. Next, for plow lot, you'll see that my equipment populated. However, if I want to change equipment or add equipment to this task, I can click equipment here and then add an additional piece of equipment. And then hit done. If I need to leave notes, I can. Additionally, if something were to go wrong on a site, you do have the ability at the bottom to flag a site that requires attention. So if I hit that toggle, that will then flag the site on the dispatch screen for the dispatcher to see. However, in this case, I'm simply going to hit End Site at the bottom of the screen. Once I've ended a site, I'll be able to see how many times I've completed each site as I continue to work through this route. Now I can continue to service each site here. Otherwise, if I am finished, I'm going to click End Route at the bottom of the screen. That will bring me back to my route screen. At that point, if I need to service another route or if I need to help another member of my team on their route, I can select a route here. However, if I'm truly finished, I'll click End Shift at the bottom of the screen. I can leave a shift note. We're going to forego that for this purpose. Hit OK. And at that point, there's nothing left for me to do on the mobile app. At this point, we're going to go ahead and go over the other options that you have after you log into the mobile app. So you will notice a Messages tab on the right-hand side here. I can message back and forth with team members. I can also see dispatches that have been sent to me. You can access that at any time. I can click the Routes button before I begin, just to have a look at the routes that I have access to. If I know that tomorrow I'll be starting on Route 14, if I'd like to look through that the night before, I certainly can. Next, I can check my own shift history. This will give me every single shift that I've ever completed in Yeti, and I can click on a shift and see what I've done on that shift. The News Training button down in the lower left-hand corner of the screen is going to include videos that will show you how to use the Yeti mobile app. You'll notice that many of these videos have a specific topic. They're not just the operator's training video that you may be watching right now. Then last, we will have the Account Settings button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. If I click on the Account Settings button, at that point I can change my personal information. I can adjust my account settings within Yeti. You'll notice down at the bottom, I can adjust the language. If it is on English right now and I need to change that to either Spanish, French, or Portuguese, I can click English and change the language of the app. And last, if I click Settings and then toggle down to App Settings below Device, this will bring me out to my general settings where I can change my location settings, turn my camera on or off, adjust the notifications, and log whether or not we're going to be grabbing background app refresh data. If you have any questions, please reach out to partner@yetisoftware.com.